Welcome, Bobcats, to another edition of From the Field to the Fans. I'm your host, Odus Evbagharu, and here with me, Kirk Jones, and a special guest appearance from our very own reporter, Cameron Cutshaw. How you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Looking forward to another show, Field to the Fans, ready to get it going.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. I'm excited to preview these two key matchups in both women's and men's basketball.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun show. We're kind of previewing the new month, February. It's kind of home stretch. These guys are trying to get acclimated. Excuse me, I don't know why I can't say that word right now. But they're trying to get used to the Sun Belt a little bit. It's their first year, home stretch, trying to make the tournament. We're going to talk about men's basketball, preview the Western Kentucky game. I think it's go time now for these guys. They're sitting in eighth. They're trying to get it going, make the tournament, and see if they can make a run like they did last year. Women, same. I talked to Kaylin Martin. That's going to be a fun interview to kind of hear what she has to say about their upcoming matchup and what the Sun Belt has done for them this year. And then, like we always do, wrap up the show with our final thoughts and good stuff like that. But before we get into the meat of the show, we're going to take one quick break and hear a word from our sponsors.
See these ice creams, eligible bachelor, $1 million bowl. That's whiter than what's in your throat.
Need cupcakes or cookies for your sweet tooth, or maybe a custom decorated cake for your sorority or fraternity celebration? Pennington's Cakes has you covered. Since 1962, Pennington's Cakes has been providing some of the best tasting desserts in Central Texas. We bake our cakes, cupcakes, and cookies fresh to order with quality ingredients and lots of love and care. No matter the order, Pennington's Cakes will rise to the occasion. Every one of our creations is artfully decorated and memorably presented. Get 10% off your purchase when you show your Texas State ID. We also offer free wedding cake consultations. We're conveniently located at 1662 South I-35, right next to Thad Ziegler Glass. Come by or call us today and join our family of satisfied customers. Our number is 512-396-4059. 512-396-4059.
Can't drop the smoking habit or tired of inferior vaping products? At Vapor Essentials, we understand these issues. Let us show you the world of vaping at our new San Marcos location at 1515 Ocarina Springs Drive. We offer quality e-cig hardware by Halo and Totally Wicked, plus Texas Select Vapor. Our delicious top 12 flavor line will knock your socks off with nicotine ranges from 0 to 24. At Vapor Essentials, we are consumers for consumers. We are your e-cigarette store. Come by or call us today at 512-878-8869. That's 512-878-8869. 18 and older, we ID.
And we're back. Kirk, Cam, here to talk about men's basketball. Men's basketball teams, they're gonna play Western Kentucky, and I think it's gonna be an interesting matchup, especially for the men, coming off a win against Troy, taking care of business, being efficient on offense. I definitely do think that this is a winnable game for these guys. I know Western Kentucky is kind of in the upper half of the Sun Belt, so I believe they're second behind South Alabama.
Well, they are. They actually. Texas State's one game behind Troy, so I think the top three teams are set by 3 games, besides Western Kentucky and Georgia State.
That's true. I misspoke. It's not South Alabama.
Yeah.
Georgia State, Western Kentucky, and Little Rock. Top 3.
Yeah, and they're only separated by 3 games. So, this is definitely. I think most games that sum up for Texas State are if they play like they did against Troy are winnable games. So, if they kind of distribute the ball, be disciplined on offense, and not turn the ball over, I think they have a real shot, definitely.
Yeah, they seem like they're kind of putting some pieces together here late in the season, something they weren't able to do earlier. And so it should be interesting as we go into the next couple of games this season. Maybe they can play sleeper, play spoiler in this Sun Belt. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think an interesting quote that Coach Casper had referring to the Troy game is that he said that we showed more patience on offense against Troy than most games. We worked for good shots in particular. We had 17 assists, which is probably one of our better games. So I think they're starting to get it offensively. I think they're starting to move the ball around. They're starting to take good shots. They're starting to shoot the ball,
Right.
when it's open.
Not hesitating.
And I think if you put up an open shot, it's a quality shot. You're open for a reason.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good. Imani Gant, look out for him. He just came off a career game. He had 21 points, most points he's ever scored as a Texas State Bobcat. And I look for him to have a better game and show out a little bit more.
Definitely, and then he's going against George Fant. That's right, I said Fant, not
So
Gant.
not Gant,
Yeah,
Fant and Gant.
Yeah, he's 7th in the league in blocks. So, he's a big dude. He's not very tall, but he's a thick guy. I think he's 250 pounds, like 6'6".
Woo.
So I mean,
Running back.
Yeah, Monty Gant's a tall guy, but he's not as big as Fant is. So he's gonna have some trouble down low underneath the goal.
Yeah, Fant's a good player, but I think Gant is going to be really key in that next game, seeing if he can have that type of production he had against Troy, and he's kind of like he's the key guy. I don't know how else to put it. Like it all kind of comes down to him, and that's kind of a weird thing to think about when you think about how the season has progressed and how it's all come down to him being the
The go-to
guy.
guy.
Yeah, the go-to guy. Thank you.
Sophomore
Yeah.
go-to guy.
And it's interesting because it's starting to make sense a little bit too. The way Casper runs things, he's a low post kind of guy, half court, so you're working the inside out game. And so now Imani Gant's kind of been the focal point. It's great that he's young. He's a sophomore. So that's something that he can, work with, produce. Not like these guys are going to the league anytime soon.
Yeah.
When
4-year
you come to
development.
Texas State, you're staying 4 years, try to develop your game and hopefully make it to the league like a Jeff Foster did. Another thing too that's been really well for Texas State all season long is their defense.
Yeah.
I believe Western Kentucky starting 5. They're bringing in the best team defense in the conference. 0.4 points better than the Bobcats.
Yeah.
Bobcats are second. I believe they only allow 66 points per game, something like that, or 65. It's a really low number, and it's worked out for them really well this year.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I talked to Kendall Ramlaw, I think that's how you say his name, and he said, defensively we're looking good. We know what to expect defensively. We know what we get in our sets and all that. They can do that. It's just offensively where they need to bring their focus because I think they're last in offensive scoring in the conference. So definitely they're picking it up, though. That was a good sign last week of having kind of distributing the ball and separating the scoring a little bit.
Yeah, I hope that's a sign for things to come. Just so they can get something going here in the next month of February and into March. I'd like to see more of how they played against Troy as they go into the meat of their schedule where they have these key components in the Sun Belt coming up.
Yeah, and I think another biggest component of this Western Kentucky game again, it's the new month. It's February. You're trying to make a run now for the Sun Belt Conference, and you're trying to bear down right now and just stay in that top 8 and not drop out 9 or 10 and try to stay in there, try to stay loose. Hopefully Joel Wright, so the worlds they can stay not turning over the ball. I think that's kind of his biggest problem is the turnover. Yeah. Hopefully he can stay efficient, stay consistent, and hopefully he can do that against this Western Kentucky team. The Fant kid, 7th in the league in blocking, so he's definitely going to be a force trying to get to the lane. And that's an opportunity for the Bobcats to penetrate, get him in foul trouble, and hopefully pull out a win in Boiling Springs.
Yeah, definitely. That he's going to be. Fant's going to be down low. If you get a mixture of Joel Wright and Imani Gant, maybe Joel Wright on the outside and feed it into Imani Gant, just pass it back and forth, inside outside kind of game. Maybe get Fant on the run and maybe you can get a mismatch somewhere along the line. I don't know. I think you need to get Gant in his rhythm early.
Yeah, a little 1-2 punch.
Yeah, kind of get those two guys going.
Gant and Wright. That should be really key. It's something that I think they're probably working on. They're going to try and execute against Western Kentucky. I was looking at the stats when you mentioned the turnover thing against Joel Wright, and he only had 3, and that seems pretty low for Wright. Yeah. And actually looking at everyone, they had 14 total as a team, and no one had more than 3.
Right.
They had 4 players with 3 turnovers, and that's good. I think it's been much worse this season, and so I hope they can make that number come even lower, and so maybe turn some of those turnovers into points or execute them some other than just turning the ball over, just make them something else.
And that's a good point that you make. Coach last game after they played Troy, I believe, they worked on the high-low with Joel Wright at the high, Imani again on the low, and it helped a lot because, to put it in coach's words, Joel Wright was turning over the ball so much. So, they had to work on the high-low. And I think it's worked out for them. I think that's a perfect fit for Joel Wright. Kind of that elbow, free throw line area where he can kind of operate, not have to think much, just make one move, pass it out or whatever. He's that kind of scorer and playmaker where he can do that and kind of build off of what Ganton does on the low block. So it's going to be an interesting matchup for Western Kentucky. We want to see how the Bobcats fare. We want to see how the Bobcats on the women's side fare too as well. They travel to Western Kentucky to play the Hilltoppers. It's going to be interesting to see how they fare in that one. It's going to be a fun matchup. But before we talk about the women's game a little bit, we're going to take one break and hear a word from our sponsor.
But y'all knew that. The big boss dog, yeah, I had to do that. I keep a flag hanging out my backside, but only on the left side. Yeah, that's the side.
Need cupcakes or cookies for your sweet tooth, or maybe a custom decorated cake for your sorority or fraternity celebration? Pennington's Cakes has you covered. Since 1962, Pennington's Cakes has been providing some of the best tasting desserts in Central Texas. We bake our cakes, cupcakes, and cookies fresh to order with quality ingredients and lots of love and care. No matter the order, Pennington's Cakes will rise to the occasion. Every one of our creations is artfully decorated and memorably presented. Get 10% off your purchase when you show your Texas State ID. We also offer free wedding cake consultations. We're conveniently located at 1662 South I-35, right next to Thad Ziegler Glass. Come by or call us today and join our family of satisfied customers. Our number is 512-396-4059. 512-396-4059.
Can't drop the smoking habit or tired of inferior vaping products? At Vapor Essentials, we understand these issues. Let us show you the world of vaping at our new San Marcos location at 1515 Ocarina Springs Drive. We offer quality e-cig hardware by Halo and Totally Wicked, plus Texas Select Vapor. Our delicious top 12 flavor line will knock your socks off with nicotine ranges from 0 to 24. At Vapor Essentials, we are consumers for consumers. We are your e-cigarette store. Come by or call us today at 512-878-8869. That's 512-878-8869. 18 and older, we ID.
Caitlin, you guys just came off an overtime win, 87-82, against the Troy Trojans. How'd that victory feel?
It felt great. It was a lot of energy, and everybody was excited. And the best thing to me was that we all came together as a team, and it was a team victory. So that's just the best part to me.
I know you guys are going to play Western Kentucky on the 1st. You get a week off, kind of. You don't have that Wednesday game in between. How are you guys preparing to face a Western Kentucky team that's very competitive this year?
Well, we're going hard, and we're going to work on us and make sure that we fine-tune the things that we have to get corrected, so that way we are ready when we play on the 1st.
I know this year you guys have yet to win back-to-back Sun Belt games. You're 4-3 in the Sun Belt. You're sitting in 4th place, I believe. What do you tell your team as a leader? What do you tell them to keep their head in the game, stay focused? Hey, let's start to get a streak, especially before you enter February for the Sun Belt Conference Championship.
I tell them to keep fighting and to keep playing together. I really believe in this team, and I know that we can do it. We have a lot of newcomers, and so we're still working on our chemistry and maintaining that. So I think that once we get it, we're going to be great. So I just tell them to stay confident and keep fighting.
With the newcomers that you mentioned, you do have Jacqueline Jeffcoat, who the other day had a double-double. You have Erin Peoples, who's still young. Kaylin Walla, she's a freshman, still integrating a big part of the team. What do you think the mentality is of those newcomers, them playing, them trying to get adjusted to Coach Antoine's system?
I think they're excited that they finally get to play, especially Jacqueline Jeffcoat, because she had to sit out a year because of the red shirt rule. So they're still trying to get, their feel for the game and their feel for Coach Z's system. So I think they're just learning, and they're just trying to play the best they can.
I know in the WAC you guys kind of, up and down, struggled a little bit. But here in the Sun Belt, it seems like you're acclimating a little better. What is about the Sun Belt that's a little different than WAC competition?
I think it's more our style of play because it's a lot more fast-paced, and it's a lot more, full court pressure. And I think that's just more our style of play. So I think it suits us better.
And we're back. You guys just heard from Kalen Martin talking about the Sun Belt, the win against Troy in overtime, and the matchup heading into Western Kentucky. And it's interesting because I know she's saying that the Sun Belt's a better fit for them. Ain't a better fit for them when they're on the road. Right. They are 1-7 on the road. I don't think they've won a Sun Belt game on the road. I could be mistaken, but I don't think they have. And they're going to Boiling Springs facing a Western Kentucky team that is 6-2 at home. Have won 13 of their first 18 games. It's going to be a tough matchup for the Bobcats.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're second or third in the Sun Belt. They're top 3 in scoring, top 3 in defense. They have the number 3 scorer in the conference. I mean, this team is a pretty balanced team. So, and I think that this game kind of came at the right time because, like Caleb Martin said, they came together. That overtime win, they stuck together, they fought it out. And I think that kind of brings your team together, brings the chemistry. Since there's a lot of newcomers, so bringing the chemistry together in those overtime games always helps. I feel like as a player to bring them together.
Yeah, I think just a general thing in every sport. When you get a game like that where it's close, goes into overtime, and you pull it out, that brings any team together, because you got your communications down, you got just dealing with something in such a high pressure, and you come out victorious. There's nothing better in sports than games like those, and really falls at a good time for the women's basketball team.
Yeah, and they're trying to do something they haven't done all year. Win back-to-back Sun Belt games for the first time. Yeah. So it's going to see if they're going to be able to do that, what their mentality is. I know Kaylin kind of told me before the interview that they're trying to have an even keel. They're trying to focus, especially the month of February. Coach Antoine has put an emphasis on that month. Coach, she's saying that this game is going to be a good barometer of what they do. In fact, what she told Quisam Ramirez, one of our reporters covering women's basketball, is that by February, you need to be playing your best basketball. February is a time when you've had your offense and defense installed. You should be your best. You should be prepared. So hopefully they're at their best, and hopefully they're prepared. And someone they're going to need to be prepared for is Chastity Gooch. She leads the team in points, rebounds, blocks, field goal percentage. Gooch is the first 3-time winner of the Sun Belt Conference Player of the Week award. She is amazing. She scored a career-high 31 points to erase Louisiana Monroe's 13-point lead. She was the 35th Western Kentucky player to ever score 1,000 points. Check this out, though. She's 2 blocks shy of becoming the 6th player in Western Kentucky history to have 100 steals, 100 assists, 100 blocks.
God.
So they're going to have...
Talk about versatile. Good.
They're going to have to go in there and play Chastity Gooch, who is a forward. So that's going to be Ashley Eze, Aaron Peoples. It's going to be rough.
Yeah, they got some size down there. I think those two, they can handle her. I mean, if you look at every category, major category in the Sun Belt, Chastity Gooch is number 1 or top 3 in everything. So she is someone you need to realize it's on the court and definitely keep up with her, or you got a long night ahead of you.
I remember a couple weeks ago when they played UTA, and I can't pronounce her last name because it was a very tough last name to pronounce. But I remember just how dominant she was against them. It was just like every play in the paint, anywhere was on the court. She had probably like 26-ish points against us, and I just remember thinking about how dominant she was in that game. So I can only imagine what Gooch is going to be able to accomplish against us. They really need to prepare hard for her.
Yeah. I believe her name is Desharia Nwaguma.
That's it.
All right.
There you go.
I try, fellas. But no, and what's funny is that the Bobcats have been such on a roller coaster ride this year that you don't know what you're going to get. You could get Ashley Eze and Aaron Peoples, who is going to show out and get a double-double, including Jacqueline Jeffcoat. And then you can get the Bobcats that are going to turn over the ball, shoot 30, 20-something% from the field, and not make their free throws. It's a toss-up. But the Bobcats, as of late, have been playing very well. They've won 5 of their last 8 games by an average of 14.4 points. That's really good. Their last game was 87-82 overtime victory against Troy. And that's the first overtime victory Coach Antoine's had in her 3 years here. So that was pretty amazing. That was pretty cool. But, they're having to go play well in Boiling Springs. Let me tell you something. Western Kentucky, 6-2 at home. They're 7-1 in their last 8 games. They draw an average attendance of 1,720 people. That's the best in the conference. And let me tell you something. That's a big draw.
Oh, definitely.
So they're going to be playing in a hostile environment. Hopefully, the women can pull it out.
Yeah, I mean they like you said they're literally one win-loss throughout the whole Sun Belt. So maybe break the streak a little bit and go into a hostile environment and pull out a win. I think that would be huge. That would be the highest point in their season if they could pull out this win this on Saturday.
We did win on the road against Lafayette. I just saw that right
so
there.
There's a conference
we
win
do have
on the
one
road.
win on the road. So let's see if we can make it 2 wins on Saturday.
Yeah, and Western Kentucky, they have the third offense, they have the third defense, and they have the best point differential in the conference, I believe, at 7.6. So the women, it's going to be tough. They're sitting at 6-2. Western Kentucky conference record. They're 5-2 in the conference, so they're sitting in second place. But Texas State's sitting right there in fourth place, tied with South Alabama at 4-3. And they're trying to make a run for the Sun Belt Conference tournament here. That's going to be after March 8th, part of March Madness. So, hopefully a woman can show, and hopefully, I really hope someone like Kaylin Martin, Ashley Eze, the 2 seniors that really play a lot. Because they're young on this team. I look to them. I think Eze and Martin are the 2 players that have to step up. I think Martin, she's like 3rd in steals, 3rd in assists. Her assist-turnover ratio is really good. I believe it's 2nd in the Sun Belt. Eze, top 10 scorer in the league at 14 points, top 10 rebounder. So, I look for Eze and Martin to actually show out and play a good game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what you should expect out of them. I mean, they've been there the longest. They're seniors. They've seen experience like this before, so I mean, you definitely got to look at them. I think they have enough to. I think Erin Peoples too. She's playing really well. I think she played against Troy. She had 22 points, 9 rebounds.
Yeah,
she played really well. That was key. She was a leading scorer. She was someone they could really look to, without being that dominant scorer that they need to take over games whenever they need someone to shoot the ball and attack the basket.
Yeah, I remember talking to Kayla Martin just before the semester out last semester, and you could hear it in her voice. That was before the season really got underway. But she wants to win conference. You can just feel it in the way she was talking. You could just see it in just how she presented it, and she has to lead it, and she's capable of leading it. So I would can't say it any better than you did. She has to be the leader, along with Eze and along with Peoples as well.
Yeah.
It's a team game, but she'll be able to lead it for sure.
Yeah, I feel like those are the 3 focal points of the team. And Erin Peoples, that's all right. You can kind of throw her in there. She started all 30 games as a freshman, so she's pretty much
she's a seasoned vet.
Yeah, she's pretty much a senior. So it's going to be interesting to see how the women fare. Antoine's really stretching February, so that way they can get in that conference tournament. Hopefully they make it. Only 8 teams out of the 10 make it, and I think they should. I think they should pull it out.
Yeah, I think their goal should be a little higher. They're not that far off from winning the Sun Belt. So, I don't think their record really shows how. They're a little inconsistent, yes, but I think if they right the ship, that they have a real shot at pulling out the Sun Belt pulling out a Sun Belt title.
Yeah, they've kind of always reminded me of the women's volleyball team a little bit, because the women's volleyball team was also very inconsistent at times. They were bad on the road, but once that tournament came around, they pulled it out in the first year in the Sun Belt, and I really think this team is capable of doing that. So I'd like to see how this month of February goes and how things progress into March and see how it all turns out.
Pulling out the cross-sport reference. That was a really a really good reference.
Point, yeah.
That's true. Volleyball is like that, and what they end up doing,
they win the Sun Belt.
Yeah. So maybe it can happen for the women. Hopefully it does. But before we kind of try to forecast and predict what's going to happen in the men's game and the women's game, we'll take one quick break and hear a word from our sponsors.
See these ice cubes, see these ice creams. Eligible bachelor, $1 million bowl. That's whiter than what's in your throat.
Need cupcakes or cookies for your sweet tooth, or maybe a custom decorated cake for your sorority or fraternity celebration? Pennington's Cakes has you covered. Since 1962, Pennington's Cakes has been providing some of the best tasting desserts in Central Texas. We bake our cakes, cupcakes, and cookies fresh to order with quality ingredients and lots of love and care. No matter the order, Pennington's Cakes will rise to the occasion. Every one of our creations is artfully decorated and memorably presented. Get 10% off your purchase when you show your Texas State ID. We also offer free wedding cake consultations. We're conveniently located at 1662 South I-35, right next to Thad Ziegler Glass. Come by or call us today and join our family of satisfied customers. Our number is 512-396-4059. 512-396-4059.
Can't drop the smoking habit or tired of inferior vaping products? At Vapor Essentials, we understand these issues. Let us show you the world of vaping at our new San Marcos location at 1515 Ocarina Springs Drive. We offer quality e-cig hardware by Halo and Totally Wicked, plus Texas Select Vapor. Our delicious top 12 flavor line will knock your socks off with nicotine ranges from 0 to 24. At Vapor Essentials, we are consumers for consumers. We are your e-cigarette store. Come by or call us today at 512-878-8869. That's 512-878-8869. 18 and older, we ID.
And we're back here, kind of give our final forecast, kind of predict what's going to happen in the men's games. I believe the men will probably lose. I think it's going to be real tough for them going to Western Kentucky. I think Joel Wright reverts back to his old ways, gets a little bit more turnovers than what he really should. But the biggest thing to me is that something that Coach Casper touched on last game after the Troy victory was he didn't like the way they celebrated.
Yeah.
And he didn't like the way that they kind of handled themselves to end the game. And I think that's more of a telling sign than them actually winning the game. Because when your coach is saying that you're celebrating victories against Troy, who I believe is in 9th place.
Yeah.
It's not like they were 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, or 8th.
Yeah,
They were bottom feeders. And so, I think what he said, saying that, resonates with me more than anything in their victory against Troy.
I think that just shows maturity too. I just think that he always talks about undisciplined, immature, and I just think that when you celebrate a win like that, you should act like you've been there before. Like if you're a mature, solid team, you act like you've been there. And I agree with you. I think Western Kentucky is just gonna be too much. I think Fant's just gonna be all over the boards. He's getting both ends of the court, and I do think Imani Gant will keep it going, though. I think he'll be the leading scorer. I think he'll be the bright spot of the game. I think he could go for another 20-point game. But I think you're right. Joel Wright's going back to his old ways. Turn the ball over 8 to 10 times.
Yeah, I'm such an optimist when it comes to sports. Every single time, I'm like, oh, they can do it. It's going to be an upset.
So you're that guy that has a team in baseball that has 162 games, just like
they can come back. They got it.
They'll be down by 32 runs. I'm like, we can do it. I promise. 9th inning rally cap.
That's a true fan.
I am a true fan. Or I try to be. But like I said, I'm just have that sense of hope. But I unfortunately think they're going to lose Saturday as well. But I still have my fanship.
You still believe
There's a little part of my heart that's still in there.
Well, I think we're with you. I hope Bobcats win. I hope they're able to pull it off. I hope they can keep their spot there and make the tournament and make a run. I just don't think this weekend is the weekend for it to happen. Yeah. And I'm a big believer in Casper. I do think Casper's got them on the right track, and I'm a big believer in Coach Antoine. That's why I'm picking them to beat Western Kentucky and finally, for the love of God, win back-to-back Sun Belt games or back-to-back games this season because we really need it. The fans really need it. And I think they need this kind of for their confidence to, be risen to a level where it hasn't been at this whole year. So I think they should be able to beat Western Kentucky. I think they neutralize Gooch with Eze and Peoples, and I think they get it done. I think Kalen Martin has a big game. I think Kalen Martin, bold prediction, she probably gets a double-double. Gets her teams involved, scores a little bit, gets to the free throw line. I think she does a little bit all, shows that senior leadership and gets it done for Coach Antoine.
Yeah, she almost had one last game. It only went to overtimes. Yeah. But I don't know. I hate to be so negative, but I just think that Gooch is going to be too much. Looking at her, it's hard to believe.
This, 100 that, $100 bills. She's making it rain. It's just every.
She's got hundreds all day.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really want him to win, but I just think Gooch is just going to be too much. She's just a three-time player of the week.
Yeah, first time. She's a ball player. She can play. I just think that for some reason, I think I just think they pull it off
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know what it is, but hopefully it's not like football where we just kept picking the Bobcats and then they just kept losing. And it's like, all right, well, thanks for making us look smart, right?
My bold prediction, since you brought up the bold predictions a minute ago, was not only are they going to win Saturday, but they're going to go on, I'll say, a 3-game win streak all the way to February 12th when they play Georgia State in Atlanta. I will say a 3-game win streak.
Thinking in the future.
I'm thinking way in the
He's
down the road.
forecasting.
Yeah,
He's
he's a
predicting.
weatherman
It's like how
now.
everyone's predicting what's going to happen in the Super Bowl. Go ahead, do
Yeah,
your
go
thing.
ahead, do
Could have asked me 2 weeks ago. I would have told you.
It could happen. It could happen. Hope like I said, hopefully Coach Antoine gets the women ready and hopefully they're able to play. I'd look for Megan Brower. I hope I'm saying Brayer. I think it's Brayer. Look for her to kind of show out a little bit. And Ize and Peoples do their thing, get the double-double. I think Jacqueline Jeffco is kind of the X factor in all this. I kind of noticed when she's not playing very well, they don't play very well. But when she plays well, they're as she likes to do. She likes to snap a lot.
Yeah.
They're clicking as well too. So that was for you, Jacqueline. But I think they'll be able to pull it off. And before we get off the show, like we always do, final thoughts.
I kind of want to hit back on the women's. I definitely think that if their kind of starting 5 are on the same page, Aaron Peoples, Ize, Jacqueline Jeffcoat, Martin, and Brayer are all on the same page, seems like that I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled off the upset.
Yeah.
I would call it an upset at least.
Yeah, no, it is.
Yeah, so
it's definitely an upset.
I definitely think there's a shot. And if they played really well, it seemed like they came together against Troy in the overtime game, and I'm interested to come Saturday. I can't wait to see the outcome.
Yeah, I think I'm a big believer in not only that things happen. I'm not going to say things happen for a reason because that's not the quote I'm trying to say right now, but that things happen at a certain time for a reason. And I really think that overtime win brought this team closer together. They have that starting 5. I know Brayer replaced Ariel Anderson not too long ago, and
they're 3-2 since they replaced her.
And so I really think things are clicking, and that's why I'm optimistic about this women's basketball team as they head down the road. And I think they're going to start finding their groove and starting to be that team that we all expected them to be.
Ariel Anderson's another name that you bring up. That's a very good point. Ariel, she's kind of struggled this year after having a really good freshman year, so hopefully she can kind of pick it up. But for me, it's the men. I want to see how they respond after this Troy win. It was on local television. They get a win. They celebrate a little bit too much. Casper didn't like it, but we're predicting them to lose. And I do see a loss, but I kind of want to see how they lose or how they come back from that game and see if Casper's got them ready and he's got them disciplined and return on the road. So it's going to be interesting to see how that men's basketball shapes out. But for Kirk Jones, Cameron Cutshaw, I'm your host, Odus Evbagharu. And like I always say, we'll see you later. Bye.